I now give the floor to His Excellency Luca Beccari, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Political Affairs, International Economic Cooperation and Digital Transition of San Marino.
Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of the Republic of San Marino, I would like to congratulate Excellencies Annalena Baerbock on her election as a President of the 80th section of the United General Assembly and to wish her a fruitful work. The Republic of San Marino supports the priority of your program and ensure you, Madam President, full cooperation in all works of the General Assembly. I would also like to extend my special thanks to Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez for his energy and determination in leading the United Nations in these difficult and challenging times. Madam President, we are meeting at a moment of profound global transformation. The global order is undergoing fundamental shift, impacting trade, technology, and international cooperation. In such time, the enduring value of a rule-based multilateral system becomes even more critical. The 80th anniversary of our organization provides an opportunity for the United Nations membership to reflect on the enduring significance and relevance of the Charter of the United Nations. As geopolitical dynamics change and new global challenges emerge, this year's general debate must train our collective reaffirmation of the spirit of San Francisco and the founding principle of the United Nations enshrined in the Charter. Our meeting in the General Assembly not only honors the legacy of the United Nations, but also regenerate the continued cooperation in the pursuit of a more peaceful, just, and sustainable world. Madam President, unfortunately, the search of a peace remains as urgent today as it was in 1945, emphasizing the need for renewed commitment, collective action, and stronger multilateral effort. Conflict continues to rise in different parts of the world, inflicting immense human suffering and devastation. If we want that the United Nations remain a light of hope for those who are experiencing the despair of the war, we must advance our strategy for prevention, mediation, and resolution conflict. We acknowledge the essential role of the UN in delivering life-saving assistance and protection to millions of people in countries and areas that are enduring conflict, such as the Horn of Africa, the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem, the Sudan, Ukraine, Yemen, and beyond. But it is not enough. We, member states, must do more in advancing international peace and security, guided by the Charter and the mandate of the General Assembly and the Security Council. The war of aggression against Ukraine brought dramatic consequences for the civilian population, including civilian death, destruction of vital infrastructure, and massive displacement. San Marino condemned the Russian aggression against Ukraine and support Ukraine's independence, sovereign, and territorial integrity within its internationally recognized border. We remain committed to ensure that Russia is held fully accountable for its war of aggression against Ukraine. At the same time, San Marino welcomes all international efforts for a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in Ukraine, in line with the UN Charter, the resolution of the General Assembly, and the international law. Madam President, the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in Gaza and the West Bank is unbelievable and remains one of the most painful and long-standing tragedies of our time. San Marino condemned unequivocally the horrific terror attack perpetrated by Hamas on 7 October and called once again for the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. At the same time, we reiterate our call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire and for full, safe, and unhindered humanitarian access to the affected civilian population. Nothing can justify the collective punishment of the Palestinian people through indiscriminate bombing, starvation, and displacement. The continued expansion of settlement, including highly sensitive projects such as E1, together with the devastation in Gaza, threaten the rise of a concrete possibility of peace. Unless we act with unity and determination, the vision of two people living side by side in dignity and security will be lost. It is in this dark hour that responsibility becomes urgent. On 15 May, our Parliament, with unanimity, mandated government to recognize the state of Palestine within this year. Today, before this Assembly, we announce the fulfillment of that mandate. San Marino officially recognized the state of Palestine as a sovereign and independent state within secure international recognized border in line with the resolution of the United Nations. Having a state is the right of the Palestinian people. It is not and can never be a reward for Hamas. This decision is consistent with the message delivered last July at the high-level conference co-chaired by France and Saudi Arabia, and with the New York Declaration, which call on states to take concrete and reversible steps. By joining today the group of countries that move from word to action, San Marino intends to send a strong political and diplomatic signal. Recognition of Palestine is essential to reaffirm that peace must be built on justice and equality. San Marino will also continue to support Palestine's admission as a full member of the United Nations. Madam President, civilians continue to bear the brunt of armed conflict worldwide. The death toll of civilians, including children and women trapped in conflict, has reached a shocking number. We cannot remain silent in front of such tragedy. They have been targeted, killed, injured, kidnapped, and tortured. The number of civilians that have been displaced has reached new records. Civilians have been deprived of water, food, and humanitarian assistance. Houses, critical infrastructure, schools, and hospitals have been targeted and destroyed or damaged, leaving civilians in despair, leaving children without education, patients without health care. Extensive use of explosive weapons in populated areas have caused the majority of civilian casualties in different conflicts. San Marino condemns such attack and calls on all states to support and implement the political declaration on explosive weapons in populated areas. San Marino is deeply concerned about violence against children, particularly children in situations of conflict. As we celebrate the 20th anniversary of Security Council Resolution 1612, San Marino renews its commitment to the CAAC agenda and supports the role of the Special Representative for Children and Armed Conflict. We are particularly worried about the high number of grave violations against children that have been reported, the denial of humanitarian access, killing and maiming of children, and the recruitment and use of children, abduction, rape, and other forms of sexual violence. San Marino calls on all armed forces and armed groups to constructively engage with the United Nations for reaching and implementing action plans to end and prevent grave violations against children in accordance with their obligation under the international law. San Marino also firmly condemns attacks on schools and hospitals, as well as their use for military purposes. We reiterate our support for the Safe School Declaration. Educational facilities should be a safe place for all children, students, and teachers. We call on all member states to ratify the optional protocol to the Convention on the Right of the Child on the involvement of children in armed conflict. We also encourage all parties to support other important tools, such as the Paris Principle and Commitment and the Vancouver Principle. San Marino reiterated the importance of accountability for all violation against children. Impunity for the perpetrator of grave violation is not acceptable. The international community has the duty not only to stop and prevent this violation, but also to assist child victims and to work for their reintegration. Regrettably, violence has increased also against the humanitarian actors and journalists. Humanitarian personnel and aid workers are being killed in unprecedented numbers. Attacks against humanitarian personnel, aid workers, and journalists must end, and they are illegal and unacceptable. San Marino firmly condemns such attacks and cannot remain silent against the fact that impunity is becoming the new normal. Attack on humanitarian personnel cannot be tolerated. San Marino has recently endorsed the Declaration for the Protection of Humanitarian Personnel, developed by Australia with a group of countries. This declaration demonstrates a strong political will to protect humanitarian personnel and to uphold compliance with international law. The urgency and uncertainty underpinning the current international context are jeopardizing progress towards sustainable development. San Marino is concerned about the crises that are precluding progress on the SDG, particularly where terrorism, regional conflict, acts of aggression are unraveling the year of achievement. Sustainable development must remain high on our agenda. The Pact for the Future, adopted last year, is a crucial opportunity to reinvigorate multilateralism and turbocharge the SDG and the 2030 Agenda. We believe that monitoring and evaluating the Pact is a decisive part of the implementation, as it not only enables to access progress, identify gaps, and make the necessary adjustment, but also help ensure that our collective commitment lead to tangible results. With the 2030 Agenda as our collective roadmap, we must act to reverse the current backsliding in the implementation of the SDG. These include enhanced mobilization of financial resources from all sources in order to contribute to eradication of poverty, social inclusion, stronger partnership, and a collective commitment to leave no one behind. Financing for sustainable development remain an essential priority. San Marino welcomed the Seville commitment adopted at the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development, concluded in Spain, which promote investment in sustainable development, address the debt crisis afflicting many of the world's poorest countries, and give developing countries a stronger voice in the international financing architecture. We need to strengthen a rule-based and equitable financial system that ensure a more effective and inclusive global economic governance. We are concerned by the multiple interlinked crises that are punishing our world over the brink, especially developing countries. The triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution must remain at the center of the UN agenda. Climate change and environmental degradation lead to increased instability and conflict, as well as to human suffering, lack of sufficient accessible fresh water, food insecurity, internal displacement, and forced migration. An urgent collective action is required to fully implement the Paris Agreement and keep the 1.5 degree temperature goal within reach. We must accelerate the transition away from fossil fuel and ensure a global, just, and inclusive green energy transition. Halting and reversing biodiversity loss and reducing pollution must remain solid priority of the UN, as healthy ecosystems are vital for achieving the SDG. Malnutrition, unhealthy diets, unsustainable agriculture, and most alarming, the threat of famine caused primarily by ongoing conflict and negative consequences of climate change take a terrible toll on human suffering. Addressing food security must also be at the core of the work of the UN. In this context, San Marino firmly believes that the fight against food loss and waste will contribute to promote food security and welcome all the initiatives aiming at developing awareness in such responsible behaviors. Madam President, since the foundation of the UN, significant progress has been made in advancing the promotion and protection of human rights, but inequality and backsliding persist. The world continues to witness persistent violation of human rights. In 2025, 30 years after the adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, gender equality remains one of the world's greatest challenges and most transformative opportunities. It is extremely important to address the root of gender inequality alongside the effort to combat gender-based violence in all its forms. San Marino supports women, youth, and vulnerable groups' equal, full, effective, and meaningful participation in all spheres of public and political life. We support the Declaration of Future Generation adopted last year at the Summit of the Future, which aimed to unleashing future generation full potential through the all and inclusive and equal access to quality education. San Marino believes it is essential to safeguard the human rights and digital age. In this respect, the Global Digital Compact is an important tool that underscores our collective commitment to bridging the digital divide and promoting digital inclusion, creating a more equitable and sustainable future, and finally ensuring that digital technology are used for the benefit of all humanity. Moreover, the establishment of an independent international science panel on AI and on the global dialogue on artificial intelligence governance are fundamental to promote scientific understanding of AI and to ensure inclusive multi-stakeholder discussion on this matter, that it will contribute to building the UN membership capacity by fostering shared knowledge, common understanding, and pooled experience, equally benefiting the stakeholders, particularly from developing countries. We are worried about the risk related to new technology in the military domain. The rapid advance in artificial intelligence have led to concerning level of autonomy in conflict. Artificial intelligence has been used in conflict to select target and make decisions over life or death. San Marino believes that meaningful human control must be retained over such decisions guided by international law and ethical principles. San Marino is also worried about the enlargement and upgrading of nuclear arsenal, aimed at escalating global tension. The threat of nuclear weapon use continues to pose an existential risk to humanity. Furthermore, we are witnessing an unprecedented rise in global military expenditure. We are walking on a dangerous and unpredictable path. We need to redirect our effort on multilateral system, renewing our commitment to peace through diplomacy. Madam President, multilateralism and our international order stand on the principle of justice and international law. However, in this recent year, we have witnessed a progressive erosion of international law and the rule of law. San Marino believes in the principle that the true rightness is based on fairness and ethics, not on brute force. The rule of law exists for this reason, to ensure that all states, regardless of their power, are held accountable, that a rule-based international order with the Charter at its center is our best guarantee against chaos and war. Thanks to its unique role at the center for setting goals, the United Nations serve the collective interest of all nations and people, transcending any individual state. San Marino reaffirmed its commitment to multilateralism, with the United Nations at its center, and in particular in the framework of the General Assembly, as the most representative body of the United Nations on account of its deeply democratic nature, universal participation, and undisputed legitimacy. Accountability is an integral and essential part of the multilateral system. It plays an important role in addressing global challenges, fostering trust and legitimacy in international institutions. We are deeply worried about the degraded and violation of international law. The Republic of San Marino reaffirmed its full commitment to the obligation under the human and humanitarian law, such as the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, the Rome Statute, and the Geneva Convention. Madam President, we need to revitalize the United Nations by reinvigorating the multilateralism if we want to pursue credible solutions to the global challenges. The SDG, the 2030 Agenda, the Pact for the Future, and the Seville Commitment are recent testimonial to our joint commitment and to what multilateralism can deliver. But it's not enough. It is essential to rebuild trust in the potential of the organization, in its leadership, and most of all, trust between its members and all the stakeholders. Reform must remain the center of our action because they are crucial to future world stability and maintenance of international peace and security. The UN 80 initiative, launched last March by Secretary General, must be an inclusive reform process capable to deliver innovative solutions. Its purpose is to make the UN more efficient, integrated, effective, and tackling complex global challenges and adjusted to the financial reality. We believe this reform effort should preserve the integrity and balance of the three UN pillars on an equal basis and continue to primarily support those most in need as well as those affected by crisis, disaster, and armed conflict. In conclusion, Member States must assume their responsibility, including that of making our organization able to fulfill its mandate, which is to protect the citizens of the world. It is essential to find new ways of working together and to ensure that multilateral institutions will be able to address the rapid change taking place. I would like to reiterate the strong support of the Republic of San Marino to all initiatives aimed at implementing the principle enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency, Minister for Foreign Affairs, Political Affairs, International and Economic Cooperation in San Marino.